From our conversations with you, our clients, we're aware that the economic turmoil we have seen in recent years and the subsequent tougher credit environment has re-established the importance of optimising working capital and placed it at the top of corporate agendas. We commissioned CFO Research Services to survey more than 600 treasurers and finance executives across Europe, the US and Asia to understand their concerns and strategies for managing their company's liquidity in the post-recession environment. The message emerging from this research was very clear. In short, the efforts to raise liquidity during the recession delivered some astonishing lessons learned. The most compelling being that strong disciplines in working capital management lead to strong disciplines in operations, which is what drives significant gains in resource productivity and, by extension, economic profit growth.
Deloitte produced a piece of work at the beginning of this year that talked about £60 billion worth of unproductive working capital sitting in UK PLC at this moment. So I think there's a joint prize at the end of this if we can work together to sort of release some of that unproductive working capital. We have offices and capability physically in 40 countries around the globe. And then when you add another 22 partnership relationships that we have, we can cover our customers physically in 62 countries around the globe. So we are truly a domestic and an international offering as well. We have three main aims in terms of working with you, in terms of what we're trying to deliver or add value to you. Sound pretty simple when I describe them, more difficult to execute. Firstly, we want to try and help you manage effectively and reduce risk in your business. Secondly, we would like to help you grow. And thirdly, we'd like to help you perform and operate more efficiently. We're very keen to make sure that we bring to you our thought leadership that's both at an industry level but also at the product and the solution level. So whether it's how your operations are affected in the US, for example, in terms of Dodd-Frank, how you're impacted in terms of SEPA, the Single European Payment Initiative in Europe, or even about the decommissioning of cheques in the UK and the movement to mobile and other forms of payment. So it's key for us that we're on top of the industry thought leadership agenda and we can deliver that to you as well.
According to the bank, where although this is the red line here is inflation, it says very little of the actual inflation we see in the UK economy right now is domestically generated. The thing we're used to thinking about, which is wages growing aggressively relative to productivity, profit margins expanding, so prices rising given costs. Why is this relevant? Well, it's relevant because if inflation was 4.5% and driven by this, the Bank of England is forced to react because it will carry on at that rate and may even accelerate away from the target. The bank's argument is, well, if it's all driven by this, and that's driven by these levels changes in global commodity prices, a levels change in VAT, and sterling falling through the floor but staying at a new level, these factors should drop away. Because if inflation's falling off sharply and growth just does not recover, at that stage, although it sounds strange when inflation is now heading up to 5%, they will worry that in 2013, inflation will be heading south of 2%. There are still risks of deflation. Believe it or not, with inflation heading to 5%, they're still worried that the economy is fundamentally weak. The level of output is still 4% below where it was going into this crisis, and we're not out of the woods yet.
Now, our strategy on technology has been that really it's a tool to help our customers. So we have a proprietary solution which has won awards for the last 7 years for the best trade portal, which is MaxTrad.
Our job here when we're developing these solutions is to deliver that visibility, control and optimization, but do it in an automated way. And that means things like, if you're working in a multi-bank environment, how do we help you consolidate balances that are now spread across multiple banks? Liquidity management operations are changing, they're expanding, they're probably more vital now than they ever were in the past. There are new products out there that you can take advantage of. So I would suggest that if you're not already doing it, now is the time when you really need to look at your current liquidity management operations and see if you do have any opportunity to improve the way you're working today.
So there is the ability and the drives across the industry for standardisation. Standardisation in terms of the format of the payments and receivables. Standardisation in terms of the reporting of the information. The way that bank accounts can be opened. So stuff like SEPA, EBAM, the Common Global Implementation Streams, they're all ways that the industry as a whole is trying to drive forward this area in order that efficiencies can be built through.
in the last few years, I suppose the Treasurer hasn't really had the opportunity to focus on SEP and payments and optimisation because of the financial crisis that we've evidenced in Europe. But I think now, if people are looking at, say, new payment factory, shared service centre, or some further optimisation around that, I think it's a great opportunity to look at SEPA as part of that programme and look to implement accordingly.
In the last 20 years, there's been a 70% reduction in cheque numbers. In the last 5 years, there's been a 40% reduction in cheque numbers, and in the last 12 months, there was a 10% reduction. So I think the world is saying cheques are on the way down, possibly out, because FP is the future in these one-off individual payments, and we do need to have the products to support it.
Increasingly what we're finding is corporate clients are getting interested to discover other areas of trapped cash within their working capital cycle, and commercial cards is an area which traditionally is sat with procurement functions or with financial control functions and hasn't really interested the finance director or the corporate treasurer, but that's changing.
In terms of RBS helping companies to grow, it's very important to realise that it's not a case of one size fits all. It's very much a case of looking at the individual needs of the company and where they are in their evolution, and also where they are in terms of the whole economic environment, and then recognising what's going to work well for that particular company. What is absolutely key to clients today is really about optimising working capital, and that really is ensuring that they're starting to optimise the DPO, the DSO, and also their inventory. And that is something that we have built a huge amount of expertise in over the last number of years, and something that we're really now bringing our people out to the market to work very closely in partnership with our clients to ensure that it's a win-win situation for everyone.